All right, so get this. Today,
Mm.
we're going to be tackling physical AI.
Oh, cool.
Not the kind that just chills in a computer, but, AI that can actually do things out there in the real world, like, robots that can whip up dinner or self-driving cars that don't cause traffic jams.
Yeah.
We've got this research paper from NVIDIA
Okay.
as our guide, and
Nice.
trust me, it's a wild ride, this one.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Teaching AI to operate smoothly and safely out there is a huge challenge.
Oh, for real.
Yeah.
The paper basically says physical AI is like this super hungry learner.
Right.
It needs tons of real-world data
Yeah.
to actually learn.
Yeah.
But getting all that data is super expensive and time-consuming, and honestly could be risky.
Right.
Imagine a self-driving AI just learning by trial and error on the road.
Yeah.
Fender benders galore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just not practical. And that's where World Foundation models or WFMs come in. Okay, think of it like this. Instead of letting a robot loose in your kitchen to figure out how to make an omelet, what if it could practice in an incredibly realistic virtual world first?
Right.
That's the idea behind WFMs.
Right.
They're like a quote-unquote digital twin of the real world.
So kind of like those super detailed simulations they use to design airplanes.
Yes.
Or predict the weather.
Yeah.
But for AI.
You got it.
Uh-huh.
And the cool thing is these quote-unquote digital twin simulations
Yeah.
are becoming more and more common, not just in AI.
Right.
They use them for all sorts of things.
Like what?
Like planning cities
Wow.
or even studying how diseases might spread.
So WFMs are like the ultimate training ground for AI.
Precisely.
Yeah.
They're incredibly complex simulations that can predict what will happen in the physical world
Okay.
based on different actions or events. Imagine a physics engine from a video game, but cranked up to a whole new level of realism and detail.
Hold on. You said that the WFMs in this paper mainly use video as input and output.
Yes.
So are we talking about feeding AI hours of YouTube videos?
Way more than just hours.
Oh, wow.
Try millions of hours of video.
What?
NVIDIA, the company behind this research, has built a massive system for gathering and filtering video data
Uh-huh.
over 20 million hours, to be exact.
Okay.
And this is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
They had to figure out how to sift through all that video to find the good stuff.
Okay, that's a lot to process.
Yeah.
I think figure 3 from the paper seems like a good place to start
Okay.
wrapping our heads around this.
Yeah.
It shows that a WFM takes past observations,
Right.
combines it with a current action,
Uh-huh.
and uses all that to predict the future state of, well,
Yeah.
whatever it's simulating.
Right. It's all about prediction and planning.
Gotcha.
Imagine a robot deciding what to do next.
Okay.
Using the WFM,
What?
it can simulate the outcome of different actions and then choose the one that gets it closer to its goal.
Got it. So this NVIDIA paper
Yeah.
is laying out their grand plan to build a whole platform for working with WFMs, right?
That's right.
They call it the NVIDIA Cosmos WFM platform.
That's right.
Okay.
NVIDIA is going all in on this, providing tools for researchers and developers to build and use WFMs. And get this, they're making the platform open source and open weight.
Wait, what does that even mean?
It means they're sharing the core building blocks of their AI models.
Wow.
Which is pretty unusual
Yeah.
for this kind of cutting-edge tech.
Right.
Most companies keep that stuff top secret.
Uh-huh.
But it seems like NVIDIA wants to encourage collaboration and speed up progress in the field.
Interesting strategy.
Yeah.
So it's like they're building a giant playground for AI researchers to experiment with WFMs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Figure 4 gives a nice overview of the platform.
Okay.
They've got everything you need. From tools for sorting the massive amounts of training data to building and training the actual WFMs.
Okay.
And even safety measures to make sure everything stays on the right track.
Okay, let's go back to that data for a second.
Okay.
20 million hours of video?
Yeah.
That's mind-blowing.
It's a lot.
They can't possibly be using all of it, right?
Definitely not.
Okay.
They've got this whole system for filtering the data and finding the most useful content. For example, they toss out any blurry videos, static shots, and even ones with too much text on the screen.
So they're looking for action-packed dynamic scenes.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
The paper mentions they're looking for videos that show things like driving people moving around,
Okay.
objects being manipulated,
Right.
things that a physical AI would need to understand
Yeah.
to operate in the real world.
Makes sense. But even with all that filtering,
Yeah.
you're still left with a massive amount of video data.
You are.
How do they actually get the AI to process all that?
That's where tokenization comes in.
Okay.
It's like taking a giant video file
Yeah.
and breaking it down into smaller, bite-sized pieces
Right.
that the AI can handle more easily.
So kind of like compressing a file on your computer.
Perfect analogy.
Yeah.
You're making it smaller, but still keeping the important information.
Right.
And there are a couple ways to do this,
Okay.
which they call continuous and discrete tokenization.
Mm-hmm.
Figure 7 from the paper actually shows
Okay.
what these different types of tokens look like.
Cool.
It's pretty cool.
Continuous tokens look like these smooth gradients of color,
Yes.
while discrete tokens are more like blocks of color.
Mm-hmm.
But why two different types?
It comes down to a trade-off.
Okay.
Higher compression means faster processing,
Right.
but you might lose some of the finer details in the video.
Okay.
It's all about finding the right balance.
Gotcha. And get this.
Yeah.
They're training their tokenizers on both images and videos.
It is. Usually you train them separately. But their research shows that combining the two actually improves performance.
Clever.
Yeah.
So we've got our data prepped, tokenized, ready for the AI to feast on.
Yes.
What happens next?
So they've explored two main approaches,
Okay.
diffusion models
Yeah.
and autoregressive models.
Okay.
Each has its strengths and weaknesses,
Mm-hmm.
but both try to tackle this really complex task of video generation
Yeah.
by breaking it down into smaller, more manageable steps.
I'm going to try to explain this like I'm talking to my grandma.
Okay.
Diffusion models are like starting with a blurry picture
Okay.
and slowly removing the blur to reveal a clear image.
Okay.
Autoregressive models are more like
Yeah.
trying to predict the next word in a sentence,
Uh-huh.
building the video piece by piece.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay, cool.
And if you look at table 10 in the paper,
Hmm.
you'll see all the different WFM models that NVIDIA has developed using these approaches.
Uh-huh.
Some of these models have billions of parameters,
Wow.
which just shows you how much computing power is needed for this kind of AI.
Okay, so we've got these super advanced WFMs
Yes.
that can create incredibly realistic simulations of the world.
They can.
But what can we actually do with them?
Right.
I mean, it's cool to watch an AI-generated video,
Yeah.
but what's the practical application here?
Well, that's where things get really exciting.
Okay.
These WFMs are not just about making pretty videos.
Right.
They can be post-trained to do specific tasks.
Okay.
And that's what we'll be diving into next.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so last time we were geeking out over World Foundation models,
Yes.
these incredibly realistic simulations that AI can use to,
Mm-hmm.
learn about the real world.
Yeah.
You were about to drop some knowledge bombs about what these WFMs can actually do.
Yes.
The paper gave some examples
Yeah.
that honestly had my jaw on the floor.
Well, get ready for more because we're just getting started. One of the coolest applications is something called camera control.
Okay.
Remember how we talked about WFMs understanding the 3D structure of the world?
Yeah.
Well, researchers have figured out how to train a WFM
Mm-hmm.
to understand camera movements.
Okay.
So you can actually explore a scene
Wow.
generated by the AI as if you were moving a camera through a real environment.
Wait, so it's like taking a video game world and turning it into a virtual reality experience.
Exactly.
You can like fly through it like a drone.
Exactly.
Oh,
And that unlocks some crazy possibilities for
Yeah.
things like training AI for tasks
Uh-huh.
that require spatial awareness,
Okay.
like navigating a city
Right.
or exploring a building.
I bet architects and game designers are drooling over this.
Oh, yeah.
What else can these WFMs do?
Let's talk robots.
Okay.
One of the most promising applications is
Mhm.
using WFMs to teach robots how to do complex tasks.
Okay.
Imagine, instead of having to program every single movement, you can show a robot what happens in a WFM when certain actions are taken.
Right.
The robot can then learn from that
Yeah.
and figure out how to do it in the real world.
So instead of writing lines of code, You're giving the robot a video tutorial.
Right.
That's so much more intuitive.
The paper gives the example of teaching a robot to follow instructions.
Okay.
You could show it a simulation in the WFM of a robotic arm picking up an object. And the robot could learn how to perform that same action.
That's mind-blowing.
It could revolutionize how we train robots, making it faster, cheaper, and way less likely to end up with a robot rampage.
That's true. That's true.
And here's another application that might hit a little closer to home.
Okay.
Self-driving cars.
Ooh, tell me more.
So researchers have created what they call a multi-view WFM that simulates the perspective of multiple cameras mounted on a self-driving car.
Right.
This allows the AI to get a much more complete picture of its surroundings, just like having eyes all around its head.
That's incredible. Does it actually work?
It does.
Oh.
The research shows that these multi-view WFMs are already better at predicting things.
Okay.
Like the movement of other cars or pedestrians, which is a huge step towards making self-driving cars safer and more reliable.
Wow. So we've got AI learning to navigate virtual worlds, teaching robots new tricks, and even helping self-driving cars see better what's next.
Right.
Flying cars, robot butlers.
All of these applications are still in their early stages.
Yeah.
But as these WFMs get even more sophisticated, the possibilities are pretty much endless.
Okay, but here's the thought that's been bugging me.
Okay.
What about the potential downsides?
Yeah.
What's stopping someone from using these powerful WFMs to, let's say, create fake videos that look totally real?
That's a really important question. And the researchers at NVIDIA have actually built some pretty strong safety measures right into their platform.
Oh, good. What kind of safeguards are we talking about?
They call it the guardrail system.
Okay.
Basically, it's a two-layer approach to prevent people from using WFMs for bad stuff.
Right.
The first layer is what they call the pre-guard.
Okay.
It's like a super-powered bouncer for the AI world.
Gotcha.
It blocks any requests to generate content that's offensive or inappropriate.
Right.
Using a combination of keyword filtering and a sophisticated AI model that can understand the intent behind a request.
Okay.
Even if it's worded cleverly.
So it's like a super smart content moderator, but for AI.
It is.
That's reassuring.
But even if something slips past the pre-guard, they've got a second layer of protection called the post-guard.
Right.
This one scans the videos that are generated and can blur faces to protect privacy and filter out anything that's not safe for work, like violence or nudity.
So it's like a safety net to catch anything.
Exactly.
It might be harmful.
They've clearly thought a lot about the ethical implications of this technology.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
All this stuff is so mind-boggling.
Yeah, it is.
Honestly, what stood out to you the most?
You know, what really blows my mind is the idea that these WFMs could help us understand and predict the real world in ways we never thought possible.
Like how?
Imagine using a WFM to simulate the effects of climate change.
Wow.
Or model the spread of a new virus.
We're talking about some serious potential here.
Yeah.
Could this technology actually help us prevent disasters?
It's possible, but it also raises a lot of questions. Like, if WFMs become super accurate, how do we make sure they're used for good?
Right.
Could they be used to manipulate people or control events? These are things we need to think about.
Definitely some heavy stuff to ponder.
It is.
It seems like we're just scratching the surface of what's possible
We are.
with this technology.
And that's what makes it so exciting.
Yeah.
But before we get too carried away with all the possibilities, let's not forget about the challenges. Creating truly accurate WFMs is still a huge technical hurdle.
So last time, we were talking about the potential of WFMs to do some pretty incredible things.
Right.
Like help us understand complex events.
Yeah.
And maybe even prevent disasters. But you also brought up the challenges of creating truly accurate WFMs.
Right.
It seems like we're still a long way from having perfect simulations of the real world.
That's right. Building WFMs that can accurately capture the complexities of reality is a massive undertaking. We're talking about simulating everything from the laws of physics to human behavior.
Yeah.
And that's no easy feat.
It's like trying to create a virtual copy of the entire universe with all its quirks and unpredictability.
Exactly. And remember, we need massive amounts of data and computing power.
To even attempt this, even with the most powerful supercomputers, we're still limited in how much we can simulate.
So is it even possible to build a WFM that can perfectly capture the real world?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Or are we just chasing an impossible dream?
That's a question that's still up for debate.
Really?
Some experts think that we might eventually be able to create WFMs
Okay.
that are so detailed and accurate that they could serve as digital twins for entire cities
Wow.
or even countries.
Yeah, okay.
Others are more skeptical,
Right.
arguing that the real world is just too complex and chaotic to be fully simulated.
It's like trying to predict the exact path of a leaf falling from a tree.
Right.
Too many variables.
Too many variables. But even if we could create perfectly accurate WFMs,
Yeah, that's true.
we still have to consider how we use them responsibly.
That makes sense. We've already talked about the safety measures built into the NVIDIA platform.
Yeah.
But what about the
Bigger societal implications.
There are a lot of potential benefits, of course.
Uh-huh.
WFMs could help us address some of the biggest challenges facing humanity, like climate change, disease outbreaks, and even poverty.
Right.
There's always the risk
Yeah.
that this technology could be used for less noble purposes.
Like what? Give me a worst case scenario.
Well, imagine someone using a WFM to create incredibly realistic fake news videos
Right.
that could manipulate public opinion,
Yeah.
or using it to simulate warfare scenarios
Oh, wow.
that could escalate international tensions.
It seems like every new technology comes with the potential
It does.
for both good and bad uses.
Right.
It's up to us to figure out how to,
Yeah.
harness the power of WFMs while minimizing the risk.
Absolutely. And that's why it's so important to have open and honest conversations about the ethical implications of this technology. We need to consider all sides of the issue and develop guidelines for responsible use.
This is definitely a topic we'll need to revisit as the field progresses.
We will.
Speaking of progress, the paper mentions something called emergent properties.
Right.
Apparently, these WFMs might start to do things that they weren't specifically programmed to do.
Yes.
Almost like they're developing
Right.
a kind of common sense understanding of the world.
That's one of the most fascinating and potentially unsettling aspects of this research.
Really?
It suggests that as AI systems become more complex, they might start to exhibit behaviors that we don't fully understand or control.
It's like we're creating a new form of intelligence, one that could surprise us.
It is.
In ways we can't even imagine yet.
It's definitely a possibility.
Yeah.
And it raises some profound philosophical questions about the nature of intelligence and consciousness.
Whoa, this conversation is getting pretty deep.
It is.
But I think it's important to explore these big existential questions.
We do.
After all, technology is shaping the future of humanity.
It is.
And we need to be prepared for what's coming.
Couldn't agree more.
Right.
The future of physical AI and WFMs is still being written, and we need to make sure it's a future that benefits everyone.
Well said. This has been an incredible journey into the world of physical AI and WFMs.
Yeah.
I feel like my brain is about to explode with all this new information.
That's good, though.
But in a good way, of course.
It is a good thing.
To all our listeners,
Yeah.
I encourage you to keep learning, stay curious, and who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe one of you will be the one to build the next generation of World Foundation models.
And until next time,
Yeah.
keep diving deep.
Keep diving deep into the world of knowledge.
That's it for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.
Tiga.